you know. And in this new normal of our relational life, we are going to be creating boundaries and we are going to be dissolving boundaries. It's both and. And it's about reconciling all the parts of us. How are we going to turn our relational differences into resources? That is my question all the time. You know, people are experiencing more tension, more fragmentation, more impulsivity, more irritability, and more love and more connection, all of it. But the beauty of it is going to be really finding a way to turning our differences into resources. We all have different coping mechanisms when it comes to acute stress, different ways of processing what is going on. And I want to go into that for a moment because I think it's really, really essential, actually. Some of us, when we experience acute stress, become highly logical. We become problem solvers. We go practical. We hoard, we stockpile, we buy things, and the other people make fun of us, or the other people think, how can you be trying to fix things now when the world is falling apart? One is logical, but the other person may go much more into the emotional realm and into the articulation of the feelings. What's interesting here is that while our coping styles may be very different, the feelings that underlie them, the sadness, the stress, the loss, the powerlessness, those feelings are not different. One person may experience the desire to create order, to start organizing things, because a sense that order on the outside is going to create order on the inside. And when they start to do all of that, they experience a sense of order as a bulwark against chaos, against a feeling of powerlessness, about a loss of control. And so projects, for some of us, is intensely helpful. It's not your style, maybe, but it is not needing to be the same as you. It's okay to realize that within the same space, within the same family, within the same group of people, we have different coping styles. And language matters here a great deal, because we have been talking about social distancing, and I prefer to call it actually physical distancing so that we can actually connect, but my colleague and friend Alexandra Salomon was talking about how, while we call this new living situation confinement, lockdown, quarantine, shelter in place, for some people this may also actually be cocooning, or it may even be connecting safely. So I think playing with the language, because the language shapes the experience, and if we actually call it cocooning, which I've heard quite a few people say, I've actually been home and I don't really miss it. I don't feel like I have to be traveling as much or being out as much. I'm okay actually being put. And that is an expression of cocooning. That is not just an expression of lockdown or quarantine. Some of us want food, information, give me more, but some of us just really need at some point to know enough is enough. I can't take in another piece of information. And if, some of you may want to send your articles, your videos, your charts to someone else. It's okay. It's okay to say that's your style. It's not mine. That's not the way I am doing this. I think actually, I'm going to tell it to you from my own experience. My husband is still making decisions for the future. He's thinking about pieces in the house that he wants to do, changes he wants to make, renovations, and I'm thinking, like, who can think about this? I am just trying to go day by day. I'm the anxiety factor in the relationship, but I need him to think about the future. I need him to still have possibilities. I know it helps him to have forward looking. And he probably needed me earlier on in order to really tell him, we need to change things and we need to get those masks and the sanitizers and all of that stuff that in the beginning we thought were really just going to protect us. And they still do, but it's a lot more complex than this, You will notice that some of you like the routine. You want the roles and the rules and the structure to remain in place. You want it for yourself, you want it for the relationships, you want it for your children if you have children in the house. You know, you want to keep your schedules as best as you can. And some of you have gone into emergency mode. You know, what rules are we talking about? What schedule, you know? But these two are really two sides of the same coin. They're part of how we are maneuvering these multiple roles in these multiple aspects to our relationships all at once. They feel like opposites, but they need not be opposites. They can be really complementary. They can be complementary instead of polarizing, instead of one person seeing the other person's coping style as a threat to you. You know, it's true that if I plan long term, I am communicating to the other person, I fear that this danger is going to go on for a long time, and it may trigger anger or fear in the other person. But that doesn't mean that I shouldn't do this because you are afraid. You need to be able to tell me that you are afraid, you know. I think that in my case, what makes our differences a resource is that we end up balancing each other out. And balancing each other out is not a 50-50. It just means he needs me and I need him. That's the interdependence of forces here. You know, I have no illusion that I am right or that he's right. I have a clear idea that in a moment of prolonged uncertainty like this, you need both. You need the experience of imminent danger meeting the experience of unabated possibilities for the future. They live together. So when I think about what to do in this particular moment, I'm thinking, here are a few very important things. One of them actually came in a conversation that I had with my colleagues, John and Julie Gottman, you know, where we often talk about the appreciation, the need to actually, you know, see the positive in what's happening around us. But we living in distress at this moment, a distressed situation and a distress in a relationship can often make it so that we are emphasizing the negative, being more critical, and taking the positive for granted. So in this moment where we have raw nerves like this, it really goes a long way to notice everything that the other person is doing. It's very easy to notice the stuff that's just like in front of me at my feet, the cup that wasn't put away, the shoes that are, you know, all of that. But if we can also really make a concerted effort to notice the positive, and the beauty of what they were highlighting for me was this: don't just speak to, this is a thanks for doing the dish or the dishes. It's always plural. Thanks for doing the dishes. But actually to say, that was very thoughtful of you. That was very kind. That was very generous. If you turn the behavior into a trait of the other person, so that you're not just talking about what they did, but about who they are, that will be enormously calming and soothing. Everyone at this moment needs that kind of balm as much as we can. So I'm talking about people who are in the same space, but I think you can expand this, you know, broadly. You know, it's an interesting way that we have a way of asking these days to people, how are you? You know, check in. Thank you for doing this. Thank you for calling me. Thank you for sending me this note. Just kind of this kinder version of ourselves with each other, you know.